When Charlie Kirk was assassinated at Utah Valley University, I was sitting in an orchestra playing music. When we went on break, through a hallway, I heard someone say something like, "I didn't agree with him, but no one should die because they had a political opinion." Confused, I checked my phone and my brother had texted me the news, and mostly I just rolled my eyes. The next few days, people expressed their reactions to the killing. Executives panicked to appoint a new CEO of TPUSA, and AI made a song, I think. In the US, the conversation quickly switched to, how should we respond to an assassination like this? And this video is my answer to that question. Charlie Kirk's death was tragic, and I mean that completely sincerely. It was a horrific and traumatic event for the people there, a cause for future political violence, and central to the whole thing, a person is dead. But when I heard what his last words were, I did laugh. Counting or not counting gang violence is comically evil and pathetic. It doesn't feel like real life. So many contradictions in conservative politics exist in this moment. Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? Asks an audience member. Charlie responds, too many, in a rote way, just shutting down the question while taking the opportunity to get some easy applause. The right's message is that trans people are dangerous and perverse. And in this conversation, Charlie Kirk is defending legislation that would restrict the gun rights of trans Americans, presumably on the basis that doing so would provide some social good, in this case safety. Of course, the reality is that per capita, transgender people account for significantly less mass shootings than non-trans people. The student brings up the fact that just 5 mass shooters in the US over the past 10 years have been trans, which it seems like a lot, but 5 is only about 0.1% of all the mass shootings in the country over the past 10 years. The student asks a question that would force Charlie Kirk to confront this fact, if he knew it anyway, which I'd imagine he did. They ask, do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? And then his last words, a pivot from fear-mongering about trans people to fear-mongering about black people, or other groups of non-white people. Racists can use their imagination. The facade of debate is pretty blatantly out of the question here. It's obvious this event is really just a masturbatory power fantasy where conservatives can feel like they have all the answers, and they're just owning lib after lib or whatever. Charlie exists here to show the conservative audience 2 things at once. That he has all the answers to the left's questions, and that they're so ridiculous that arguing against them should mostly just consist of saying random nonsense. It's designed to put you to sleep, and then to rally you around the self-destructive political project of making neoliberal capitalism more fascistic. And then Charlie Kirk was shot. The right wing has grieved. Sort of. I mean, surely countless right-wing individuals have seen the death of Charlie Kirk and felt a genuine sense of direct loss, and fair enough, that's a real thing. I would also feel bad if somebody I liked but didn't know died. Seems like a fairly normal response to the human interactions that mass media allows. Charlie's spouse, Erica Kirk, has not really been allowed to grieve, if she was going to. Capitalism requires manpower and economic momentum as much as it requires blood. Grieving Charlie Kirk in any serious way goes against his own political project. Turning Point USA needs to keep going. It's a business, and Charlie's death is an economic liability. Which sounds really cold, doesn't it? But it's true. And it's the main thing that's being dealt with by those around Charlie Kirk. The question is, how do we keep making money? How do we keep distracting Americans from the fact that we are utterly destroying their lives? Well, they landed on Charlie's wife, and that's been going pretty well. In our modern, internet-y but still out-of-touch right wing, it seems normal to those in power, and presumably some conservative fans, for the mourning spouse, Erica Kirk, to go on CBS to talk about intimate details of the relationship she had with her dead partner, to spread the narrative as far as possible that, well, we are Charlie Kirk. To pretend like Charlie Kirk was not violently anti-Semitic and was an ally of not just Israel, but Jewish people in general. Erica Kirk must go on CBS and listen and nod, be the grieving widow as this guy makes Islamophobic attacks on Zohran Mamdani, saying that he's refused to denounce the phrase, globalize the intifada.
Including here in New York City, where the mayor-elect still will not condemn the phrase, globalize the intifada.
In the conservative media world, she's just kind of there now. Some executives decided that putting her in front of millions of people would be profitable, but it's clearly not without its drawbacks. Ironically, to place her in the role of CEO is sort of to acknowledge grief. As the CEO of TPUSA, Erica Kirk should be a grieving mother, processing her emotions in a very particular way. And let's not forget the turning point are conservative. Erica Kirk should be below Charlie Kirk. She should feel incomplete without him forever, because that's a woman's place. And I'd imagine any normal person in her situation would be experiencing a new mutated form of melancholia. But life goes on, and the machine is bleeding to death, and, it needs more blood. It's tough out here. The message communicated by all this is, death is a thing in politics. Death is a thing in politics. Death is a thing in life. It's universal. It's the thing that will hurt many of us the most. It feels so obviously terrible that it's difficult to put into words, and we spend a lot of time avoiding putting it into words. It's an elusive reality, but when it happens around you, you stop and think. You have to. I didn't just mention melancholia because it's a big word. It's fundamental to my point with this video. Because of these political decisions, something is missing from this weird part of society, and that is whatever healthy mourning practices we used to have to process our emotions. Death is complicated and terrible, and I just wish it was left at that. That's enough to think about in itself, but no. Politics is also complicated and terrible. The world Charlie Kirk left behind has been irrevocably damaged by what he did in his life. The world is increasingly horrific in Trump's second term. Charlie Kirk's take on death is actually that it's good that people die. The state of Israel should continue its genocide of the Palestinian people. Welfare should be cut, along with taxes for the rich. Child care should be denied to Americans, so should healthcare and housing and food and water and etc. ICE should receive more funding, allowing them to do random acts of violence. Transgender people should be denied not just gun rights, but all the other rights too, and we should socially isolate them and, as much as possible, try to make their lives miserable. Mega corporations should continue to profit from destroying the earth. It goes on. During the bleak and odd Charlie Kirk memorial service, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller shouted in a very Hitler-like fashion, "Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry." Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us, because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And it's like, what? Sir, this is a memorial service. The thought comes to mind, who grieves Charlie Kirk? Not the speakers at his memorial service. Not Erica. Not anyone who accepts the logic of capitalism, so not really his political allies. It's dark and pathetic. He's dead, and this is what's being said about him. We will destroy our enemies, just like the Romans and the people from Greece and Philadelphia or something. Now, my point here is not that I grieve Charlie Kirk. I don't grieve Charlie Kirk. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. And the point of this is not that I really wish I could grieve him. It's that in our perverse politics, doing grief is the incorrect response to the death of those who seek to kill others. In the worlds of extreme violence we live in, thinking about the death of a random public figure is the least of our worries. And so, the logic of Charlie Kirk's politics is seeing his assassination and just saying, see ya. Well, yeah. See ya.